I'm Jessie Draper, the Valley Girl. What does your company do? Have you ever Googled yourself?
Totally.
What makes a great entrepreneur? What's your next big idea? Tweeting's like my favorite. Let's talk business.
I'm like the Valley Girl.
Gilt is a members-only shopping site that provides you access to today's top designer labels at 60% off retail and was recently valued at $1 billion. Alexis Maybank is co-founder of Gilt Group. She's also a rockin' woman. Well, here we are with Alexis Maybank of Gilt. So how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. I've been dying to get you on the show. You know, you are so inspiring, and what you've done with Gilt is so inspiring. And so well, first of all, what is Gilt?
Gilt Group today offers, it's hard for me to believe, thinking back to our early days, access to nearly 5 million customers here in the U.S., outside of the U.S., to products,
Amazing.
luxury products at prices up to 70% off. So that's for yourself, for your children, for your home, even luxury travel and gourmet foods at this point. And it's set up in a flash sale format where every day we introduce about 15 to 20 new sales of one brand or one item on offer. And it moves quickly. You have 36 hours to buy it, and then we start afresh the next day with a whole new lineup.
I read that you started it because you knew that that basically fashion brands and lines always had this extra clothing and items left over after a sale or after the season. Is that true?
Yeah, so the way it works in department stores, even though we're right now in the midst of summer, they're already clearing out that inventory and have fall. So at times when, yesterday it was 80 degrees, you're not really thinking about buying wool. But we can take advantage of that because that's excess inventory, even though that's what we want to buy at this moment as consumers. We want to buy summer apparel. We want to buy things that are more appropriate for the season, but that's considered a season old in fashion and retail. So we offer those products that you want to buy now and wear now, and we can do it at great prices.
That's amazing. And so tell me, why did you start Gilt?
I started Gilt with my co-founder Alexandra and with a couple other technical co-founders too, Mike and Fong. And it was originally inspired by our love of the New York City sample sale. It's this thing that you have in Manhattan where you get a coveted invitation to, say, the Hugo Boss, if you're a guy, designer friends and family sale, or to say Valentino. You drop everything to be anywhere that sale's taking place, and it's usually at 70% off. But it's only for 2 days. The thing is that that's not available to a nationwide audience. And it was something we were so passionate about. We gathered that there had to be other people out there like us outside of New York who'd want to shop that way too. And that's where the idea came from.
You worked at AOL before and eBay. You helped launch their eBay Motors.
I was part of the early team at eBay, so when it was still a very small company, 40, 50 people. I stayed with eBay for about 4 years, and in the process helped launch 2 businesses for them, eBay Canada and later eBay Motors.
And so what do you feel that you learned from eBay and possibly AOL that you brought to Gilt?
Well, eBay was very similar in the way that it was a business that spread through word of mouth. People would tell each other about eBay, and it spread amongst collector bases. And it was a business that could never exist offline either. You could never find a place where 45 million products were being sold between individuals at any given time. And so I took lessons from that, plus lessons from seeing a tremendous female leader, Meg Whitman, and I applied that a lot to the Gilt experience. So Gilt, similarly, the 5 million people who shop, 65% came because of word of mouth. A friend told them about Gilt. So it spread like wildfire really quickly. And I learned a lot from the eBay experience that I applied for that. And then similarly, we've had a hyper-growth experience much like eBay. And I often think back and wonder, at that point, what did a Pierre or a Meg or a Jeff do? These were the CEO and founders respectively, and how do they think about a company who each quarter the new people were outnumbering the pre-existing group of people?
That's amazing that you've grown that fast. It's really incredible. That must feel so good.
Well, you don't have time to think about it, frankly. But yes, we grew incredibly quickly. We're over 900 employees today.
And you're a $1 billion company, right?
We recently, last summer, raised money at that valuation, yes.
That's amazing. High five. That's incredible.
You never stop to celebrate, though, because you never know what's coming next. So we're pretty focused. We feel it's not over. We're just in the middle. We're just getting started still. So it's incredibly exciting.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
You're obviously an incredible female entrepreneur. How do you brainstorm? Like, how do you come up with new ideas? Do you sit down with people and throw ideas back and forth verbally? Do you draw pictures? How do you brainstorm?
I think doing it in an environment where you have, if you're in the office, you have to have light. And you have to have a lot of people, creative people in a room. And better if you have food or alcohol or music or something to spur it. But if not, I think that for me personally, the best ideas are always when I'm forcing myself to be out of the trenches, out of the office, 2 days, either just in New York City or going off to a different location. You always have your best thoughts, I think, when you're out of the office, not going to be interrupted, and can clear your mind. And so that's what I do. You have to force yourself to be out of the office, which is really hard.
Especially if you're taking off like you guys have. I can imagine it's probably hard to leave the office.
Yeah, you sometimes feel guilty about it. I shouldn't be away from the team. I shouldn't be away from the office. But if not, you're always kind of nose deep and not really focused further down the road than maybe tomorrow or that afternoon or what you need to do on Monday. So you need to force yourself out. You need to reduce the interruptions, and that way you have a lot more time to think.
What gets you up in the morning? What like makes you get up and go to work?
2 shots of espresso, and then a job I love. So not only, I've always worked in e-commerce. I've always worked in the internet space, helping people focus on things they're really passionate about. So mixing that with fashion, which is one of the most fun industries that are out there, I just wake up charged every morning with that combination. But I tend to be more of a night person than a morning person. So to answer your question specifically, it literally takes a couple shots of espresso to get me up and out at 8 a.m. So,
do you feel like you're a night person because that's when you get most of your work done?
I think it's just by nature. Some of us are night owls, and some not. I'm having to switch because I have 2 children under 2, so that means no longer do can I stay up till 12, 1, 2, whatever it is working.
Goodness.
I need to do that, but force myself out of the bed in the early hours. So.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. How do you do that? How do you 2 under the age of 2?
Yeah, it's a little crazy right now.
That's insane.
So people think I'm insane. Yeah, it is. It is a little insane. I have that. Luckily, the business is more so that it is 900 people. It's not just as it was nearly 5 years ago to the date. Myself and 4 or 5 other people sitting in a little makeshift office. So I can have more time to be out of the office and spend with family.
How do you juggle that? How do you manage your time?
Oh, I'm used to having a ball drop every single day, so I don't think it's juggling. I think you catch
it's balls dropping.
You catch the 3 out of 4 that you can that day, and you try to be happy with that. And every day is a compromise. Some days I'm much better tech entrepreneur. Other days I'm a much better mother, and I try to do as best as I can at both of them.
Okay, so you wrote a book.
Yes.
Incredible.
It was funny, when we started writing it, it took us 2 years start to finish. And people told us it would take 2 years. And here, reflecting back at the beginning stages of Gilt, we took 4 months to get that business conceived, named, warehouse space chosen, and out the door with our first partners, and built the site in-house. So to us, when they told us it would take 2 years, we thought, oh my God, you have to be kidding. 2 years, that's a lifetime. But we did need every moment, and partly because, of course, the story is still unfolding, but we would work, kind of reserve our mornings on Thursday, and we'd work all weekend on it, and then we'd have full day jobs. So we needed that long 2-year time, but we're so glad we did. It's amazing when you're moving at that pace with a startup, you really you start to have certain areas of your experience become a little fuzzy. So we interviewed all our investors, we interviewed all our co-founders, we interviewed all the key people that help shape the brand, make a lot of the important decisions, and it was so nice just to document it and get it all on paper in a way that we were all proud of.
That must have felt really just kind of cleansing too, in a way. Okay, so it's called By Invitation Only.
That's
and
right.
it's a great book. But so tell us about the book.
The book looks at not just our initial kind of 4 years as a company, 3-4 years, the key decisions, but we tried to focus on some of the elements that we think were critical to making Gilt work. Elements that helped us scale through one of the fastest growth in kind of internet, recent memory at least, and focus on the good decisions, the missteps, the mistakes, for a couple of reasons. One, if there was any way that we can help inspire other people to pursue an idea that they're passionate about in the way that we did with Gilt, great. We went so far as even creating certain checklists along the way as sort of how to think about forming a team, how to raise capital. So we really wanted to help inform and inspire in any way possible. And also, the more men, and especially women, that we can have out there pushing new ideas and raising money, starting businesses, the better.
What is one piece of advice you would leave with a new entrepreneur?
Well, in the book we have chapters of advice. One simple one just to convey quickly is the importance of thinking about your career along a longer time period, and importantly thinking about how you're going to form your own personal board of directors. That's not your board of directors of your company or your startup, but it's that group of people that you can turn to ask the questions you can't ask anyone else. How to handle a difficult situation with your board, how to think about making the right hire. Whatever it might be, whatever challenges you think you're going to confront, think in your past career who you can surround yourself with to go to with those questions, who wants to see you succeed, and who you would like to have as part of that personal board of advisors or directors that you don't know, and actively try to cultivate that, reach out to them. But it's that group that helps you navigate a much longer career that spans across different chapters of startups, and even other careers that you might have.
You know, you're a female entrepreneur. You've done incredibly well. How do you feel, what would you say to encourage more women to enter kind of the business arena?
Just take a risk and think about, if I left what I was doing today and what idea I was pursuing didn't work out, what would happen then? Could I go back to my old job? And often the case is yes, that you can go back to that same job or something substantially similar a couple years down the road if it doesn't take off. And to me, if there's an idea you have that you're passionate about, take that risk, because it's worse to wonder what if than to step off that kind of career track to try something different when you know that you can always go back to it if it doesn't work out. So I would just encourage more risk-taking, the confidence that you can get it done, the confidence that there's money out there to back you, the confidence, especially if you're doing something where you're the target consumer, that you're more equipped to understand in many ways that consumer mindset better than anyone. So have the confidence to put yourself out there to do it.
Do you feel like there's enough women in business?
No.
Me neither. There are not enough.
Well, there's more and more, and we're seeing more women on the top of major tech companies, and that's encouraging. More women in the heads of fashion and retail brands, and that's exciting. We'd love to see more women getting capital. So I think roughly small businesses are run by about 34 to 40% women, but they receive anywhere from 5 to 10% of the capital. So that's out there, and that's the estimates that are published.
Wow.
So I'd love to see those ratios change a little bit.
That's great. Now, what are you most excited about that Gilt is working on right now?
There's so many things. We're expanding internationally aggressively, so we have a full team in Japan, but outside of that, just given the nature of what we're selling, luxury, lifestyle products, there's a global demand for that. So we ship to over 140 countries. We accept multiple currencies. We're working on localizing our site further and further, and that's exciting. Mobile is a huge area of growth for us. Our mobile websites and apps account for or provide kind of new channels that are now accounting for about nearly 30% of our revenue. It went from 0 to 30% in less than a year.
Oh my
so
gosh.
We're watching just major shifts in our business all the time, and that's incredibly exciting.
Where do you feel like e-commerce is headed?
Well, I think looking at mobile and how that's shaping, it's no longer about brick and mortar versus the internet. I think it's been shown for a while that you have to view your website and the internet as your flagship store in many ways. So as I think about e-tail under the umbrella of e-commerce, I'm now watching that shift to a store in your pocket like that. I mean, it's impressive to see how
the store in your pocket.
How people have really gravitated to that as a primary way of shopping. A second is we're watching the combination of editorial, the glossy pages of a magazine that which used to sell products and get people really excited. Then you put it down and went out and purchased it. Now it's all just mingled together, and it's a click away. That dress you're looking for, that suit, the way you're going to re-envision or redecorate your living room, and that happened in just the past couple years.
I'm like the Valley Girl.
And I'm like Alexis Maybank from Gilt Group.
And now it's time for your Dits moment.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Well, I apparently wasn't ready. Hold on. That was a weird noise that just came out of my mouth.